A new agenda to guide leadership on the global issues of poverty, inequality, and climate change was launched and adopted at the United Nations on September 25, 2015. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development comprises 17 goals known as the Global Goals, which aim to end poverty, hunger, and inequality, take action on climate change and the environment, improve access to health and education, build strong institutions and partnerships, and more. The Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, build on the Millennium Development Goals, which the world committed to achieving by 2015. Since the MDGs were adopted in 2000, enormous progress has been made, but more needs to be done. The SDGs have a more ambitious agenda, seeking to eliminate rather than reduce poverty and include more demanding targets for health, education, and gender equality. The agenda also includes issues that were not in the MDGs, such as climate change, sustainable consumption, innovation, and the importance of peace and justice for all. These goals will guide policy and funding for the next 15 years. Eradicating poverty in all its forms remains one of the greatest challenges facing humanity. While the number of people living in extreme poverty has dropped by more than half, too many are still struggling for the most basic human needs. The Sustainable Development Goals aim to end all forms of hunger and malnutrition by 2030, making sure all people, especially children and the more vulnerable, have access to sufficient and nutritious food all year round. This involves promoting sustainable agricultural practices, that is, improving the livelihoods and capacities of small-scale farmers, allowing equal access to land, technology, and markets. Chronic and catastrophic disease remains one of the main factors that push households from poverty into deprivation. Non-communicable diseases impose a large burden on human health worldwide. Currently, 63% of all deaths worldwide stem from NCDs, chiefly cardiovascular diseases, cancers, chronic respiratory diseases, and diabetes. This goal ensures that all girls and boys complete primary and secondary schooling by 2030. It also aims to provide equal access to affordable vocational training and to eliminate gender and wealth disparities with the aim of achieving universal access to a higher quality of education. Empowering women and promoting gender equality is crucial to accelerating sustainable development. Ending all forms of discrimination against women and girls is not only a basic human right, but it also has a multiplier effect across all other development areas. Water scarcity affects more than 40% of people around the world, an alarming figure that is projected to increase with the rise of global temperatures as a consequence of climate change. Although 2.1 billion people have gained access to improved water sanitation since 1990, dwindling supplies of safe drinking water is a major problem impacting every continent. Between 1990 and 2010, the number of people with access to electricity has increased by 1.7 billion. And as the global population continues to rise, so will the demand for cheap energy. A global economy reliant on fossil fuels and the increase of greenhouse gas emissions is creating drastic changes to our climate system. As the global economy continues to recover, we are seeing slower growth, widening inequalities, and employment that is not expanding fast enough to keep up with the growing labor force. According to the International Labour Organization, more than 204 million people were unemployed in 2015. Sustained investment in infrastructure and innovation are crucial drivers of economic growth and development. With over half the world population now living in cities, mass transport and renewable energy are becoming even more important, as are the growth of new industries and information and communication technologies. Widening disparities are a call for action that require the adoption of sound policies to empower the bottom percentile of income earners and promote economic inclusion of all, regardless of sex, race, or ethnicity. Making cities safe and sustainable means ensuring access to safe and affordable housing and upgrading slum settlements. It also involves investment in public transport, creating green public spaces, and improving urban planning and management in a way that is both participatory and inclusive. The efficient management of our shared natural resources and the way we dispose of toxic waste and pollutants are important targets to achieve this goal. Encouraging industries, businesses, and consumers to recycle and reduce waste is equally important. There is no country in the world that is not seeing firsthand the drastic effects of climate change. Greenhouse gas emissions continue to rise and are now more than 50% higher than the 1990 level. Further, global warming is causing long-lasting changes to our climate system, which threatens irreversible consequences if we do not take action now. Over 3 billion people depend on marine and coastal biodiversity for their livelihoods. However, today we are seeing 30% of the world's fish stocks overexploited, well below a level at which they can produce sustainable yields. Human life depends on the earth as much as the ocean for our sustenance and livelihood. Plant life provides 80% of our human diet, and we rely on agriculture as an important economic resource and means of development. The Sustainable Development Goals aim to significantly reduce all forms of violence and work with governments and communities to find lasting solutions to conflict and insecurity. Strengthening the rule of law and promoting human rights is key to this process, as is reducing the flow of illicit arms and strengthening the participation of developing countries in the institutions of global governance. The world today is more interconnected than ever before. Improving access to technology and knowledge is an important way to share ideas and foster innovation. According to United Nations Development Program Administrator Helen Clark, quote, "This agreement marks an important milestone in putting our world on an inclusive and sustainable course. If we all work together, we have a chance of meeting citizens' aspirations for peace, prosperity, and well-being, and to preserve our planet." End of quote. The Sustainable Development Goals must finish the job that the Millennium Development Goals started and leave no one behind. For GIS News, I'm Jarna Hector.